Good evening, everyone. A very warm and hearty welcome to our panel discussion on the subject of Is NAT the only answer for safe blood in India? Uh, my name is Arjun Mahajan, representing JMitra, and webinar is being done in association with CAHO, Committed to Safer Healthcare. We'd like to start the proceedings with the CAHO anthem. New horizon of family and patient safety. We have a goal, a noble and an step to get reply the shot future. We are cause you're standing up, saying, joining hands for the shaping the culture of the patient. Scream and sing their skin, spreading the message of quality healthcare for safe patient care. Safety and quality. We are young. Standing so well, I would like to request Professor Ashok Rattan to take us through a small introduction to CAHO.
Yeah. So CAHO is consortium of accredited healthcare organization. It is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to fostering quality initiatives in Indian healthcare setting through focused events, courses, workshops, and training programs. The vision is to be an admired global leader transforming healthcare quality and safety. The purpose is working together for safer healthcare and to add value to all stakeholders. Next slide, please. CAHO was started 13 years back by Dr. Giridhar Gyani and Dr. Venkatesh Thupul, along with Dr. Alexander Thomas and Dr. Pavan Kapoor and Saidullah and Dr. Swami. Next slide, please. At this moment, this CAHO is headed by Dr. Vijay Agarwal, who is a pediatrician in Delhi. The Secretary General is Dr. Lalu Joseph, who's from CMC Vellore. We also have Vice President Dr. Shankar Sengupta, who's a microbiologist in Calcutta. And the Finance Secretary is Dr. Naren Sehgal, who runs a nursing home in Delhi. He's a surgeon. Next slide, please. The diagnostic division is headed by Dr. Aparna Jairam, who runs a series of labs in Mumbai. And she's the chairperson. The vice chairperson is Dr. Ravi Kumar, who is NIMANS and is based in Bangalore. And the secretary is Dr. Vinita Kothari, who ran a very successful diagnosticon meeting in Indore recently. Next slide, please. Our logo represents the stakeholders, which include the hospital, the accredited hospitals, diagnostic centers, and quality professionals. The drop of water is the learning and continuous improvement, and our focus is to improve patient safety. Next slide, please. CAHO does a lot of work. Mostly it is for safe patient care, strengthening quality, and we have an agreement now with NABL to spread the word of benefits of accreditation. We promote accreditation, we share best practices, and we create benchmarks which healthcare organizations need to follow or to achieve. Next slide, please. We have been now operation for 13 years. We celebrated the 12th anniversary on May 22nd last year. Today, we have focused on a debate, next slide, which has relevance for India. The question is the NAT the only answer for safe blood in India? We have two esteemed judges and two persons for the motion, two against the motion, which Mr. Arjun Mahajan will coordinate.
Thank you, Professor Rattan. I'll take it from here. Well, good afternoon, distinguished guests, respected faculty, and colleagues. It gives me great pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this important academic gathering where academic experience meets innovation, where policy, practice, and patient care converge on one single platform. Well, today we are privileged, indeed privileged, to host stalwarts in the field of pathology, transfusion medicine, clinical chemistry, and laboratory leadership. Individuals who have not only shaped institutions, but have shaped systems entirely. Well, it would be difficult for me to read the entire presentation, but I have composed a small composite of what we can talk about in terms of the dignitaries that we have today. Our first dignitary, Professor Veena Maheshwari. Well, we are deeply honored to welcome Professor Veena Maheshwari, Professor of Pathology and former Dean at Principal and CMS at JN Medical College, AMU. She is a recipient of the prestigious President's Silver Medal from the Countess of Dufferin Fund. Professor Maheshwari's journey from a demonstrator in 1987 to a professor in 2005, well, it reflects dedication and academic excellence. She has modernized laboratory services, introduced protein and hemoglobin electrophoresis, established immunopathology laboratories, initiated tumor marking testing by ELISA, and has nearly 200 publications in reputed journals, including the British Medical Journal Case Reports and the Acta Cytologica. Her contribution as co-person in the ICMR AI-based cancer detection project highlights her forward-thinking approach towards digital pathology and AI integration. Ma'am, we are honored by your presence. Our second judge for the day, she's not here in person, but she has sent us a message which we'll read out at the end. We are privileged to welcome Dr. Najat Rashid, former director at the Ministry of Health, Dubai, and currently CEO at Al Fahim in the UAE. With a PhD in clinical chemistry and molecular biology from the University of Surrey and leadership training from the American University of Beirut, Dr. Rashid has led federal medical laboratories and blood banks in the UAE for over 2 decades. Her experience spans laboratory governance, operational leadership, and strategic supply chain management at the highest levels. Ma'am, your global perspective adds tremendous value to this particular forum. Thank you. Dr. Sangeeta Pathak, we warmly welcome you, ma'am, as the Director and Head of Transfusion Medicine at Max Healthcare and the Secretary General of the ISBTI, Indian Society of Blood Transfusion and Immunohematology. With 24 years of experience, over 200 presentations globally, and authorship of the book Essentials of Blood Banking and Transfusion Medicine, and pioneering convalescent plasma therapy in India during COVID-19, Dr. Pathak represents leadership in both crisis and excellence. She is a recipient of the J.G. Jolly Award, Dr. Usha Gupta Award, and the Lifetime Achievement Award at Transcon 2023. Her journey inspires the entire transfusion community. Ma'am, we are grateful to have you with us today. Dr. N.K. Naidu, ma'am, we are honored to welcome you to this forum as the director at the IRCS, Indian Red Cross Society, Fort Blood Bank, Mumbai. With over 28 years as medical director, internationally course training from Australia, technical expertise from NACO, and principal assessor roles with the NABH, Dr. Naidu's work has strengthened quality assurance frameworks in blood banking across the country. Ma'am, your contribution to standardization and accreditation formats elevates our profession. We extend a warm welcome to Dr. Suhailur Rahman, Assistant Professor at the JN Medical College, AMU. With 25 years of experience in pathology and blood banking, 58 publications, international awards, including the William Harvey Research Award from the US, and advanced training in flow cytometry, Dr. Rahman represents the new generation of academic excellence. Doctor, we are delighted to have you with us today. Our last speaker, who will be speaking against the motion, Professor Ashok Rattan, a name that needs no introduction, an experienced person with over 4 decades of experience. He has served as faculty members in various colleges from AIMS to JNMC to MGMU. And he is one of the main reasons that we are all here today. He has brought us all together at this forum together. He has over 30 international patents and was awarded the APJ Abdul Kalam Award for lifetime contribution to diagnostics. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here today at this forum. And with that, I will start with our first speaker for the day, the one who will be speaking for the motion. I would request Dr. Sangeeta Pathak. Ma'am, I will put your presentation on the screen. Please feel free to tell me next whenever you want me to shift it. Right. Dr. Sangeeta Pathak.
Can I get 10 minutes for it?
I believe so.
Okay, sure. So a very good afternoon to all of you. And NAT is a subject which is very close to my heart. I started long back in 2010 doing this test in Max Healthcare, and today we are a centralized center for all the Max hubs that we have, about 9 blood banks that we have with us, and we do it for the entire Max Healthcare. Next, please. So we all know that the importance of safe blood cannot be denied at all, and it comes with the safety comes with the non-transmission of infections like HIV, HPV, HCV, and the limitations of conventional testing methods. Of course, we all know that, and the role of introducing NAT in enhancing the blood safety is very well established at this moment. Next slide, please. So we know that there is a significant burden of HIV, HPV, HCV, but just to reiterate this fact here, that HIV has been coming down. It's a very good sign for our country. HBV, because we still remain in 2 to 8% of the intermediate zone, HBV is still very high, and HCV also is there. And there are asymptomatic carriers which contribute to the transmission, which is, of course, the biggest challenge why NAT should be there, and need for sensitive detection methods is always there, which is missing in so many blood banks which are run by, no, I should not say that. So sensitive detection methods are really needed. Next, please. So what does nucleic acid testing does? What is NAT? It actually detects the viral nucleic acids directly. We are waiting for the antigens, antibodies to develop and then bring them out and then find them out. So NAT, the moment the virus enters, it can detect that. It reduces the window period. Of course, window period, we all know the time that the virus enters and the time the antigen antibody come up. That is the window period, which is actually very vast, which I'll next in my coming slides, it will be there. And therefore, the test which we do in the blood banks should be highly sensitive. The specificity can be a bit compromised, but the sensitivity cannot be compromised. Next slide, please. And the window period limitations of the serological test that I was talking about. So HIV, it is 3 to 4 weeks, HBV 30 to 60 days, HCV 7 to 21 days, and in serological tests, this entire thing we are missing out. Next slide, please. So what does NAT do actually? NAT detects the earlier infection, it detects the OBI, it identifies the low viremia, it also screens the transient infections. Next slide, please. And therefore, NAT is known as what it is known as the early bird. Early bird means it detects things which others cannot detect at that moment. So the traditional serology, it will rely, of course, on antibodies, which are body's immune response, and of course a delayed immune response, and this can take weeks to develop. In contrast, again I said, it can detect the genetic material and it identifies the virus, bacteria before the immune system even puts up a fight. That is, of course, the formation of antibodies. Next slide, please. So if I talk about the window periods, earlier infections closing the window period. So window period, you can see infection started from here and detection here. Long period, and long period, it varies for every disease. And the NAT PCR, what does it do is detects the pathogen. I've already told you, detects very viral low viral copies as well. That of course are missed by. They could be missed, they are actually missed by the serology. And of course, it significantly shortens the window period. And in all the times, the evolution of assays has been like this. That is, the traditional serology come into being. It still is the mainstay. We cannot rule out that we will not do the serology and do NAT. It's not like that. So traditional serology still is there. The fourth generation came later on with along with this serology testing only, but in the districts and in the inner parts of the country, I don't think so. Fourth generation is there. Only means rapid tests are still there, are still there. And then later on, the NAT PCR came, which was as late as, in the blood banks I'm talking about, as late as 2008. Next slide, please. So now I will talk about the low viremia cases. So in low viremia cases, next slide, please. So the viral loads which are below 200 international unit is the primary challenge in managing the occult HBV. No, not this. Before that. No, go to the first slide before this slide. Previous slide, please. Yeah. Identifying cases with a low viremia, that is, we are missing the occult. Next slide. Next slide. Next. There's some problem, I suppose. Wait. Don't go now. Okay. So, because these patients are HBs negative, I wanted the slide prior to this. And now hold on, don't move. The viral load here is extremely low, that is less than 200 international units, and therefore very difficult to detect. And if we talk about the immune control, then the host immune system keeps the virus at such a low level that the surface antigens aren't produced in detectable quantities. And therefore, the challenge lies that in such cases, what are you going to do? And therefore, the role of NAT comes into such scenarios. And there are surface mutants also. In some false occult cases, the virus has mutated so that the traditional antibody-based tests, they will not recognize the HBs antigen protein. Hence, it can be also. Next slide, please. So, next slide, next. So, identifying the low viremia cases, that is, I've already spoken on that. So, I'll go to the next slide. The screen transient infections. Yeah, hold on, please. Don't move the slide. So, borderline infections on the verge of full-blown infection. What are they? Screening for transient infections. What a transient infection refers to the ability to detect the virus during the short early windows of infection when a donor may feel perfectly healthy, but it is highly infectious. So that's the screen transient infection, again, an early window period. For viruses like HBV, HCV, HIV, the most crucial transient phase is, of course, the window period, the interval between initial infection and when the antibodies develop. And nucleic acid has the capacity to detect such infection. Next slide, please. So NAT can detect the occult HBV, a transient-like state where the virus is present at a very low level, even if the surface antigens are negative. And with the HIV and HCV, NAT detects the viremic phase, which occurs days to weeks. I told you how much, somewhere between 3 and 21 days, 2 weeks before antibodies, that is the anti-HIV or HCV, are produced. Next slide, please. So if I talk about the occult infections, so in infection, what happens? Next slide, please. The virus is present, but the antigen is not there. So you have to be very, and it is transmissible. The biggest thing is that it is transmissible. So you have to be very careful on these cases, carrying the infection to the patients, which you are missing in the serology. So if I talk about the public health, it prevents the secondary transmission during the window period, even when the person is highly infectious, and the clinical outcomes for many infections, starting treatment during the acute phase, the very beginning, leads to much better long-term results, which you all will agree with me. Next slide, please. Okay, then the next slide speaks about the detection targets which are there, the viral surface proteins, the viral genetic material, the sensitivity which is being missed by the serology, while with nucleic acid there is a high sensitivity as low as 1 to 5 international units per ml, and the mutations that can be that can be detected by nucleic acid testing are they get as escape mutants. They cannot be. And the window period with serology will be as long as 4 weeks, while it will be less than 1 to 2 weeks. Next slide, please. Then the enhanced safety with NAT, it detects infection. I've already told you it is an excellent tool to detect occult HBV, and it's crucial for identifying cases with low viremia, best screen to detect the transient infection. Next slide, please. So here I have bought certain papers, and this was the very early paper that was there, which actually did not speak much about NAT and serology. It was done at PGI Chandigarh. It did not speak much about it. So I have not bought the facts here. Next slide, please. So in the next slides, you can see, I won't be able to narrate each of them because I don't have the time now. Next slide, next slide. Next slide. So in the next slide, if you see, so that was a paper from Dr. Makru. Next slide, please. So every paper, you can read them later on. I don't have the time now to read. Every slide gives you a certain amount of infections which were missed by serology, but which were detected by this. Hold on here, hold on. And all these multiplied into some factor, you have saved so many people from getting the infection. And I really want you to go through those papers and see that how many people were protected from getting these infections. Then WHO also, of course, recommends NAT. Successful implementation is there in many countries of the world. And challenges in India. Next slide, please. The zone is a high prevalence zone for TTIs. There's a limited sensitivity of traditional tests. There's need for cost-effective NAT solutions because NAT, the biggest factor is the cost factor and cannot be implemented because of this. And ensuring quality and infrastructure again is a very, very big challenge. Next slide, please. Benefits I'm not going to read out. You all know what are the benefits, and you all should agree with it. I hope you all agree with it. Next slide, please. The summary has also been included in the last slide. So it should actually be a complementary role. Donor questionnaire, of course, is the mainstay, and NAT, reactive and sero-negative risk, it will keep on continuing, and a comprehensive approach should definitely be there in a cost constrained country like us. Thank you so much for that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Professor Rattan, can I request you to, as we bring on Dr. Naidu, who will be speaking as the first speaker against the motion, right? Dr. Pathak has made a very strong case for the motion. Let's have a differing.
Yes. Dr. Naidu is live also.
Yes, she is. Dr. Naidu, can I request you to unmute, ma'am, please? Your phone is, your device is on mute.
Unmute.
I've asked her.
So please send me the...
I'll call her, sir. I'm calling her.
Okay. I don't find the place for loading the slides.
Sir, you have the presentation with you. You had tried it with, you had run it with me right now.
Narinder, you're mute. Usko unmute kar. Sir, she says there's some problem. वो unmute फिर से करने की कोशिश कर रही है.
Okay. I have it now. So Dr. N.K. Naidu is, as she's been introduced, she's the director of the Indian Red Cross Society, and she will talk about is against the motion.
Good evening, everybody. At the outset, I would like to thank CAHO for having given me this opportunity to be here to present on NAT. Transfusion services in India, there are about 2,545 licensed blood centers, but the services are still poorly regulated, the quality standards are poorly implemented, and the blood safety program in India is riddled with structural weaknesses and deficiencies in the government regulations. We are still dependent on replacement donors, contributing almost 50% of our total collection. Quality ensured, and laboratory equipment are not calibrated and maintained. Behavioral screening of the potential donors is not routinely conducted, and a formal deferral system hardly exists to exclude individuals at high risk. Additionally, in mega blood donation drives, the quality is often compromised. Laboratory testing for TTIs is also not quality ensured, and laboratory equipment are not calibrated and maintained. Validation of results is not carried out. Laboratory technicians are inadequately trained, and the blood center in charges or transfusion officers are usually not qualified or trained in the field. Availability of kits and reagents is also dependent on the number of factors, and their storage and transport to the blood center is another area of concern. Screening of blood is carried out with only antibody-based assays, that is the third generation, which do not cut down the window period to a greater extent as the fourth generation assays. Lastly, inappropriate or unnecessary transfusions due to lack of good hemovigilance system further contribute to the blood shortages and thereby the blood safety. In 2002, WHO released an aid memoir for the National Blood Program Comprehensive Strategy to guide the developing countries to invest in these four key elements. Now, these key elements are establishment of a nationally coordinated blood transfusion service, collection of blood from voluntary non-remunerated donor with a low behavioral risk, implementation of universal blood screening for transfusion-transmitted infections, and reduction in a study published by S.V. Basavaraju et al. In Voxangus, they studied the prevalence of HIV amongst Kenyan blood donors was about 6.4%, and 2% of the transfusions transmitted HIV infection in the. So the Kenyan Ministry of Health took an action wherein they developed a new blood policy in 2001, and the National Blood Transfusion Service was transformed into a nationally coordinated system with national network of 6 blood centers and satellite distribution sites. Therefore, donors must pass all pre-donation health examinations and respond to a stringent behavioral risk screening questionnaire, and they also conducted the training of the laboratory staff. Quality assured laboratory screening was conducted on all the units using fourth generation assays. The National Blood Transfusion Services also educated the healthcare providers and advised the hospitals on appropriate clinical use of blood. Kenyan Ministry of Health then carried out a study to evaluate the effectiveness of this program in the absence of NAT because of its high cost and technical difficulty. Nationally, representative samples of whole blood units collected from all 6 regional centers and negative for ELISA were tested on NAT. Dried blood spot specimens prepared in pool of 10 samples were sent to reference lab and tested, and then the pooled samples with reactive results were subjected to ID-NAT testing to identify the infected unit. Any NAT reactive sample was tested in reference lab on 4th generation kit to look for any laboratory error at the level of national blood transfusion. It was observed that the residual risk attributed to the laboratory error was 0. The units that were reactive on NAT and non-reactive on 4th generation test were also 0. The finding of this study reaffirms the utility of 4th generation assays in screening of blood from donors who have been appropriately selected. Therefore, Kenya's focus on selection of voluntary non-remunerative donors coupled with behavioral and medical screening to replace the unregulated donor recruitment system has minimized the risk of window period donation. In India, the seroprevalence of HIV is much lower than that of Kenya, as seen from NACO figures. It is 0.2%. The figures reported by NACO are all that of initially reactive units, as NACO follows the policy of discarding all initially reactive units. Now, a bit on our center. I come from Indian Red Cross Blood Center, Mumbai. It's a standalone center. We have 100% voluntary donor collection. Replacement donors are not accepted. We have a policy of carrying out post-donation counseling using the algorithm based on WHO Strategy 3. All initially reactive units are tested in duplicates on the same assay, and then the units which are reactive on the same assay are tested on 2 supplemental assays which are more specific than the initial screening assays. Therefore, you can see a seroprevalence. If you see compare the initial reactive with the confirmed reactive for HIV, HCV, HBV, you will find that it is half of what was initial reactive, as you can see over here. So our incidence is very, very low, while the initial reactives you can see very high. The actual seroprevalence of India is much lower than what the NACO figures say. Therefore, shifting to a total voluntary collection can reduce the risk of TTIs. Our experience with post-donation counseling revealed that donors who are positive for HIV were already aware of their serostatus, thereby emphasizing the need for stringent pre-donation counseling. Study conducted by Mitra et al. Also reported that NAT yield was much higher in hospital-based centers as replacement donors were high as compared to the standalone centers who had higher proportion of voluntary donors. Now, if you weigh the window period reduction by NAT against the cost that is involved in it, you can see there is not really very significant, but the cost that will be added on is 1450 to 1000 rupees. Therefore, NAT simply cannot be used as a screening test as low antigen levels cannot be detected while the antibody response can still be detected by ELISA. So NAT has to be used only as an add-on test, thereby taking the cost even more higher. And false positive rates in a study carried out by Stremmer, Clegiotti and Strong was almost 1 in 15,800 units. In a study published in Journal of Hematology, 92.2% were the false positive for HIV and HCV, while in another study reported in Transfusion, 91.3% was NAT false positivity for HPV. In a study by Dr. Mitra et al., it was observed that 27 samples out of 12,224 were ultra-reactive but negative on discrimination tests. In an article in Fox Sanguinis, cross-contamination has been reported as the most common cause for false positives. Therefore, while performing NAT, stringent quality measures and standards of cleanliness needs to be observed, otherwise the number of false positives could certainly go high, thereby further contributing to blood shortages as well as the cost. Then there is this constant debate on whether mini-pool NAT or ID NAT of the two, which one is better. In a recent study, it suggested that dilution factor involved in mini-pool testing can certainly impact the detection of infectious donations, especially when the viral load is low. Hence, ID NAT may be required to interdict. Another recent case report demonstrated that even ID-NAT may not detect all infectious units since only a small sample of plasma is tested in comparison to the volume of blood that is going to be transfused. Delvert et al. Reported transmission of HIV from NAT-negative donation with very low viral loads in Fox Sanguinis. This in spite of NAT, which is the most sensitive test, zero risk, and they concluded that in spite of NAT, which is most sensitive test, zero risk is unattainable. In another study published in Transfusion, it was observed that due to increased heterogeneity of HIV, the viral load was substantially underestimated and chances of detection are decreased even by NAT. In case of NAT, the additional yield refers to the infection that is not detected by ELISA but detected by NAT. So NAT yield depends on sensitivity and specificity of the NAT and the prevalence rate of TTIs, which is low in India. Therefore, effective yield also is. In India, studies conducted at Apollo Hospital, AIIMS Delhi, Hinduja Mumbai, Max Healthcare Delhi revealed that NAT yield was as follows. As you can see, in Apollo it was 0.065, 1.49 in AIIMS, Max it was 0.023 and 0.005% in Hinduja. It will be observed that the yield for HIV, HBV, HCV is low. Now, India is a country with moderate prevalence for hepatitis B, the only problem being occult hepatitis, so non-seroconverting or delayed seroconverting individuals. In an article by Du Wong in the Journal of Medical Virology, it was observed that the new generation of hepatitis B surface antigens have mixture of monoclonal antibodies in order to recognize the S gene mutants, and therefore they are sensitive enough to pick up even small amount of hepatitis B in low level carriers. This has led even Michael Bush and Roger Dodd to contemplate that ID-NAT is possible The fact that it is possible may prevent exceedingly rare cases of viral transfusion, but that does not necessarily mean that it is warranted or justified. Therefore, the policy decision regarding blood testing should be based on accurate estimates of performance characteristics and the incremental yield of proposed new procedure along with the cost-benefit analysis. Quantitative data on the dynamics of viremia during the early phase of HIV, HCV, and HBV infections and the ability of MP and ID-NAT to interdict infectious window period are still not available. We need to have recipient look-back strategies to determine the infectivity of early window phase donation. Preliminary results from these studies indicate that the incremental window period closure and yield of ID over MP-NAT for HIV and HCV will be very small, and that too it will come at a very high cost. And in our country too, we need to get an updated donor incidence rate as well as the incidence of transfusion transmitted infections. Therefore, WHO recommendation 2009 was introduction of NAT should be considered only when an efficient and effective program based on antigen antibody testing is in place and there is clear evidence that there is an additional benefit. The actual benefit in most population has to be first determined and it should be balanced against the complexities and high cost of performing NAT, including the infrastructure required. So implementation of NAT in India would require identification of regional zonal blood testing centers, investment in infrastructure, equipment, manpower, building of specially designed and equipped NAT laboratories, transporting of samples from remote areas to these centers in time will certainly delay the utilization of blood and components, especially platelets. Then the condition of samples due to poor transport will definitely be a matter of study conducted by Dr. Makru et al. Out of 12,224 samples, they found that 570 samples could not be processed, 350 of which had inadequate blood volume, 176 had no barcode or they were mislabeled, 22 samples were hemolyzed, and 22 had shown indeterminate results. Then we also need the technologists to be trained in molecular biology techniques, complex new data management system for sample pooling, resolution and supplemental testing of reactive pools. To get the best results, implementation of quality management system and GMP are very important. There is no data that shows window period cases are undetectable by both NAT and ELISA. And in spite of NAT testing, the window phase cannot be shut and zero risk supply is still elusive. Besides, there is no proficiency testing actually available in India and one needs to depend on costly panels from abroad. Therefore, QC and QA are challenged. The cost factor would be rupees 1,450 for NAT and 221 for ELISA. They were driving it to 1,671 for one unit. And cost of 6.8 million units would be therefore 1,136 crores. So over and above this, cost of the infrastructure and the additional staff. So to conclude, in the past 2 decades, there has been tremendous improvement of infectious disease screening and blood donation, which has resulted in considerably safe blood supply. However, the ultimate goal of achieving zero risk is still not achieved. Globally, in the past 5 years, the working paradigm has shifted more towards precautionary principle, and we are now chasing the elusive mirage of zero risk. So we need to incorporate, in India, for ourselves, we need to incorporate scientific data consistent with comparable situations and also need to carry out cost-benefit analysis into our precautionary decision. So what India essentially needs to do is implement the strategies outlined in the WHO aid memoir, focus on the logo safe donor, safe blood. The blood should be collected only from voluntary, non-remunerative and repeat donors. Stringent donor selection with pre-donation counseling should be instituted. There should be strict implementation of quality implementation of 4th generation antigen antibody assay for screening of TTI. We need to develop trained manpower, develop strong hemovigilance system which could take us a step in the right. And with this, I end my presentation.
Madam is live, so she can say a few words if you want.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Loud
We
and
can.
clear, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for having given me this opportunity and opportunity to present what I feel from my heart for our country. And of course, there is no denying that NAT is required, but we are still, very much laid back or back and beyond. We need to buck up and come up forward. We are considering only the few cities that we are looking at. What happens to the back and beyond, where the routine testing itself is highly compromised? So we need to start from scratch, sir, before we go on to this initiative. That's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. We'll now move on to our third speaker, Dr. Suhailur Rahman. Dr. Rahman, I'll put your presentation on the screen. You can just, just nudge me in the right direction with the next whenever you want me to change the screen. Our next speaker, Dr. Suhailur Rahman, will be speaking for the motion, is NAT blood the only blood safety required in India. Yeah. Over to you, sir.
Slides haven't come up yet.
1 second, sir. I can see them on my screen. Hold on. Can you see them now, Dr. Rattan? Professor Rattan?
No, not yet.
1 second, sir. It must be a net connection. Give me 1 minute. Sorry for the
Or
technical.
should I share it?
1 second. Let me try one more, sir. Is it there now?
Yeah. Now it's there.
Yeah. Over to you, sir. Dr. Rahman, we can't hear you. Can you increase the volume at your end?
Dr. Sohail, all yours. But the gain is gone. Yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah, it's an internet problem, sir.
Thank you everyone. Thank you Ashok sir and Kaho to give me opportunity to speak on this topic. Next slide please. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can
Next
hear you
slide, please.
loud and clear.
So as far as safe blood transfusion is concerned, the main essential component is the transfusion right component should be transfused to the right patient at right time and without any adverse reaction. The most important point here is that just like we can from one whole unit blood, 3 to 4% are benefited. Similarly, if single infected unit, single whole blood unit is infected, then there are chances that 1 to 4 recipients are transfused with diseased blood. Next slide, please. The most important point is about the window period. Why serological tests have limitations? The most important thing is that it detects virus-induced antibodies or antigens only, not the virus itself. So greatest threat is that the donations can occur during window period, and it also cannot detect occult HBV infections, its variants and mutations. So the impact of transfusion-transmitted infection on the patient and family is very high, and lifelong guilt for the healthcare providers as well, and legal and ethical issues as well. Next slide, please. Now, NAT screening methods. There are two methods of NAT screening. One is individual donor NAT, and second is mini pool NAT. In individual donor NAT, which is TMA-based technology, each sample is tested individually, and there is no mixing of samples. So the sensitivity and in fact specificity is high as compared to mini pool NAT. And so as far as comparing between these two methods, ID individual donor NAT is gold standard method. Next slide, please. Now, to compare between ID NAT versus chemiluminescence, the in ID NAT, viral nucleic acid is detected, while in chemiluminescence method, only antigen or antibodies are detected. The most important point is about window period. The window period of HIV, HCV, HBV is reduced in case of ID-NAT as compared to chemiluminescence. This window period is quite reduced, quite amount. The number of days are quite reduced. 4 to 7 days is good number as compared to chemi, in which it is 15 to 20 days. Also, sensitivity, the amount of sample required, or you can say detection, is as low as 18 international units per ml in case of HIV and 3 international units in case of HCV, and HBV only 4.3 units. And for chemi, high viral load is needed. And another important point, what the Dr. Sankita has also mentioned about occult HBV detection, because it detects HBV DNA. HBV virus DNA is circular DNA virus which integrates into the human host system. So this can be detected even if HBs antigens are negative. So this is very important point. Another important point is that variant mutations are detected and all the genotypes can be detected, while by chemiluminescence it can be missed. Next slide, please. So this is the data. You can see that in all, when we are comparing between window period, HIV is very less, 5 days, HCV 2 days, HB only 16 days as compared to the chemi. Next slide, please. So this is the data, or you can say this is the study done by us in our blood bank, Jain Medical College. Uh, when ID-NAT was done on all the samples in which chemiluminescence was reacted, it was seen that we can detect additionally 1 HIV virus and 2 in next year. So ID-NAT yield of 3 for 3 years. Next slide, please. For in case of HBV infection, you can see in the 3 years we can have a NAT yield of around 241, which is a good number. Next slide, please. In HCV cases, hepatitis C virus cases, a NAT yield of 17, which is also a good number. It means that this much might be missed if we have done only chemiluminescence. Next slide, please. In case of co-infection, or you can say combined infection, ID-NAT yield of 23 was found when compared with chemiluminescence. Next slide, please. And when we have combined all these cases together for 3-year data, it was seen that a total NAT yield of 284 cases was found. Next slide, please. And after that, I have combined all the cases. This was the year, but I have combined all the cases from 2019 to 2025, in which around 6 lakh samples were tested, including all those cases which were received from 11 different blood centers to our center. And around it was found that in NAT yield of 7 in case of HIV, 113 in case of HCV, 930 in case of hepatitis B virus, and dual infection in case of 116 cases were found. And a total NAT yield of 1,166 was found in the last 6 years. So this was a very good, very, very big number. It means that 1 in 515 cases we have detected which was missed by chemiluminescence. Next slide, please. So, total NAT yield, ID NAT yield distribution, when it was 6 lakh samples were tested for last 6 years, that 7 cases of HIV was detected, 113 cases of HCV and 930 cases of HBV, and a co-infection of 116 cases was found. It means 1 in 515 donation could be missed if done by chemiluminescence alone. Next slide, please. So the problem is not that only that we have prevented 166 additional infected donations. The problem is that out of these 1166 donations, we are preparing three to four components. So the multiplication factor will be 3 to 4. It means we will transmit around 4,000 to 6,000 infections to those patients if they could have been missed. So this is a very large number. 4,000 to 6,000 infections we have prevented in the last 6 years. And see 930 cases of HBV could have missed, and a detection rate of 1 in 515. Imagining ourselves in that situation, that if that donation could have been done to us, any family member, so that will be very devastating for us. So 1 in 515 cases are detected. So this is a very good number. As far as HCV effectiveness is seen, that 1 in 5,316 cases missed by serology are detected by IDNet. Next slide, please. As we all know this thing, chemiluminescent immunoassay detect only antigen antibody. So advantage is that there is high throughput and cost is effective, but limitations is that it has longer window period, cannot detect occult HBV infection, and may miss variants and mutants. Next slide, please. So, coming to final conclusion about the key differences, as we have already discussed, this is a method in which IDNet is a method in which we are detecting DNA RNA. And in this, we are having a significantly shorter window period and a very good and ultra high sensitivity. And we also can detect all the cases, almost all cases of occult HBV infection, and variants and mutation can also be detected. Only disadvantage with IDNet is that it is costly. So overall, it's a recommendation is that it's a gold standard as far as safety is concerned. Next slide, please. Please. So if we are talking about the current status, at present there are total blood bank in our country is around 4,153, and NAT is implemented in around 250 blood bank, and 18.15% of the NAT are screened. First NAT was started in 2006 in Delhi, and detection rate of 1 in 500 cases. So what is the future? What is the future vision? Future vision is that universal NAT adoption, try to adopt NAT as far as possible, and a centralized NAT center with a hub and spoke model should be introduced, interlinked with NAT centers serving as the regional blood bank. Then temperature control logistic for rapid sample transportation, NAT tested blood for all, including small blood centers. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So, conclusion is that IDNet provides superior safety compared to chemiluminescence alone, window period reduction of 70 to 96% for major transfusion transmitted viruses, detects one additional infection per 515 donations missed by serology, essential for detecting occult HBV infection, which was not detected by chemiluminescence, and prevent cost benefit. Only disadvantage is that cost benefit, but preventing even one TTI justifies that implementation. Next slide, please. So final recommendation is that while KMI is a valuable screening tool, IDNet represents a gold standard for blood safety. The evidence overwhelmingly supports its adoption as a primary screening method or as a mandatory confirmatory test for all blood donations. Every prevented transfusion transmitted infection is a life saved. Next slide, please. These are my references. Next slide, please. I will say special thanks to our Professor Saidul Hassanari sir, who is the pioneer behind starting NAT in blood bank AIMI and making it a regional and reference center for whole UP India. And Dr. Mitra Prasad, Chief Medical Officer in charge blood bank AIMI. Next slide, please. Thanks. And this is the Panther system. So please, this is layers in our blood bank. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rahman. Uh, Brings us to our final debate speaker for the evening, Professor Rattan. Sir, it will be easier if you are running the slides at your end for your thing, since you already have the co-host facility. It'll make you, it'll make it smoother, the transitions.
Okay, then let me just see. Sharing again becomes okay. No,
You'll be sharing your own slides, so it'll be smoother for you to run the slow
I
show.
don't see the button, share button again.
It's the bottom. It's a green button at the bottom, sir. In the middle. Otherwise, I'm ready. I have it ready.
No, you share it. I can't see the green button here.
Okay, no problem, sir. 1 second, please.
Oh, now I see.
Oh, okay, good. Right.
Okay, so let me start with quoting a paper which was recently published in Nature from the experience of a lab in Egypt, where they compared after doing 87,000 specimens for blood transfusion, both by NAT and CLIA. In that, as you notice, that the false positive and false negative were in 0.01 to 0.04%. If you see the barcodes, then you find that when you have CLIA and NAT, the agreement was nearly 100%, 99.1% for HPV, 98.28% for HCV, 99.97% for HIV. When you look at what is the benefit, you get that the true negatives were 99.19 and the yield was 0.04 as far as HPV was concerned. The yield was 0.03 as far as HCV was concerned, and there was 0% additional yield if you compare HIV between CLIA and NAT in an accredited lab. So we've heard about the advantage of decreasing the window period. But we are addressing a critical issue of public health. And I stand here to argue that safety is not a single test, it is a system. To claim NAT is the only answer is to ignore the logistical, financial, and biological realities of India. If we build a high-tech roof, that is NAT, on a crumbling foundation, that is the fragmented blood centers and poor donor selection, we are not building a safe house. We are creating a dangerous illusion of security. Let me give 4 points. The first point is yield versus cost dilemma. While NAT is technically superior in detecting viruses in the window period, studies in major centers like AIIMS and Max Delhi have shown that the actual NAT yield, the number of truly infectious units caught that ELISA or CLIA missed, is often as low as 1 in 2,000 or 1 in 3,000. Of course, in AMU, we're getting 1 in 515. In a resource-constrained country, spending nearly 1,400 to 1,600 extra per unit to catch a single infection is a luxury. That same investment could be used to, one, transition 100% of our supply to voluntary, non-remunerated blood donors, which WHO cites as the single most effective way to reduce TTI, upgrade every rural blood bank from rapid test to highly sensitive, quality-controlled, EQUAS-enrolled, fourth-generation ELISA or benchtop CLIA. Point number 2 is the biological blind spots. NAT is not foolproof. It targets specific genetic sequences of HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C, and is both exceptionally specific and sensitive. But what about emerging pathogens like dengue, chikungunya, or Zika? NAT, for the big three, does nothing for these. False negative: if a donor has a very low viral load below the limit of detection, NAT will miss it, but the same is still infectious. False positives have already been discussed. Point number 3 is that there's pathogen reduction technology as an alternative. If we truly want safe blood, why are we only focusing on detection? We should be talking about inactivation. Pathogen reduction technology using UV light and ribavirin is available and now being made even in India. Does not just look for a virus, it will kill it. PRT can inactivate viruses, bacteria, and parasites in the blood bag itself. Unlike NAT, which is reactive approach, PRT is proactive. In a bacterial contamination is a high risk, PRT offers a broader safety net than NAT ever could. The fourth point is infrastructure and fragmented reality. India has, as Dr. Sohail said, more than 3,000 licensed blood centers. Many struggle with basic power stability, cold chain maintenance, and trained manpower. NAT requires a dedicated, contamination-free infrastructure. It requires stringent validation that most small-scale blood banks cannot provide. Implementing NAT universally today would lead to a centralized monopoly where small centers are forced to shut down or transport samples across vast distances, compromising the freshness of components like platelets, which have a lifespan of 5 days. So blood safety in India requires a holistic framework, a stringent donor selection, only professionalized pre-donation counseling, 100% voluntary donation, moving away from replacement donors, quality serology, making sure that all ELISAs or CLIA are quality assured, take part in EQUAS, are run in accredited laboratories, and rational use of blood, reducing unnecessary blood transfusions. NAT is a valuable addition for tertiary care, but it is not the answer. To put all our eggs in the NAT basket is to ignore 90% of the system that needs basic reforms. Let us invest in the foundation before we buy the expensive decor. There are points in favor of NAT and their counterpoints which my colleagues have made. I would suggest that we concentrate on pathogen reduction versus NAT, and by pathogen reduction, we'll catch versus kill paradigm. The fundamental flaw in NAT-only argument is that it relies on detection limits. NAT's limitation is that if the donor has a viral load of 5 copies per ml and NAT detects 10 copies, the unit will be labeled as safe but will remain infectious. PRT's strength is, which uses ribavirin, which is a vitamin B plus UV light, causes irreversible damage to the nucleic acids of pathogens. It doesn't matter if you can see the virus or not. The process prevents the virus from replicating, rendering it harmless. PRT also covers the unknown threat. NAT is a target test. It only finds what you tell it to look for, usually HIV, hepatitis B, and HCV. The problem is that India is a tropical climate with endemic threats like malaria, leishmania, especially in Bihar, and emerging viruses like Zika or Nipah. Developing a NAT test for every new threat is reactive and prohibitively expensive. The PRT solution offers a broad spectrum shield because it targets the basic structure of nucleic acid. It is effective against a vast array of viruses, bacteria, and parasites, and even those which we haven't been able to identify yet. The bacterial contamination factor is another point. The single biggest cause of transfusion-related morbidity isn't actually HIV. It is bacterial sepsis, especially in platelets stored at room temperature. NAT's failure, NAT does absolutely nothing to detect or prevent bacterial growth, while PRT value is highly effective in reducing the bacterial load in platelet concentration, significantly lowering the risk of TTI and sepsis. So when we compare NAT with PRT, you would find that if we want safe life, we don't need a better test. We need a better system. Finally, I would like to concede that detection is a luxury, prevention through donor selection, and pathogen reduction is a necessity. Safety is not a luxury product we buy from a vendor. It's a policy we built for our people. My opponent want to buy a faster thermometer, that's NAT. I suggest we focus on preventing the fever, voluntary donation, and treating the infection, pathogen reduction. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, sir. That was very vociferous, if I may say so. Listening to 4 different speakers, 2 for and 2 against. But now it's time for the judges to take center stage, right? Please allow me to share the presentation. Give me a second, please. Is the presentation visible, sir?
Yeah.
All right. Our first judge for the evening, Dr. Najat Rashid. Well, she's not here in person, but she has sent us a message, and I will take the liberty to play it on her behalf.
Good afternoon, team. I would like to thank Dr. Ashok Rattan for inviting me to be member with this team, and I would like to thank everybody here. I am Dr. Najat Rashid, former director of laboratories and blood bank in UAE, and now I am a CEO in Al Fahim Healthcare. Regarding the safety of the blood, the most key element, the important key element, I believe, it's the donor selection and the pre-donor selection. This is the most important part. All the testing is important and the clinical thing is important, but nothing is more important than the selection of the donor. We have to check the travel history. We have to check the lifestyle of the person. We have to check all the other things as per the questionnaire. that is provided. In UAE, we are going with all the standardization, and we have a system. The system is very important to be implemented, and all this standardization is following the AABB, ISO 15189, and the WHO criteria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nusrat Rashid. We come to our second judge, Professor Veena Maheshwari. Ma'am, your slides are on the screen, and
Yeah.
forum is yours.
A very good evening to all of you. I thank Dr. Ashok Rattan and the CAHO team for inviting me on this topic. Next slide, please. So after all the deliberations which I heard, and especially after hearing Dr. Ashok Rattan, I was speaking for the motion, but now I think there's a slight modification. Yes, except for the cost, but that too can be managed by following measures, which the WHO has already said that National Coordinated Transfusion Service should be there, the government aid NHM programs, the initially mini pool NAT was done, but which is more cost effective, but then we can have ID NAT, which is more specific. And again talking about voluntary healthy donors, which are non-remunerated, low behavioral risk donors. So if the donors are very active and they are very chosen very properly, then we can still go in for NAT. Next, please. Next slide. Next, please. Can you change the slide for me?
Yes, ma'am. Sure. I'm just. Yeah. This is the presentation that was given to me by Professor Rattan. Dr. Rattan, can you see my slides, ma'am? Slides?
Is that the only slide?
No, there are more slides.
Ah, yes.
Okay, so this was the we want to do this, Professor Rattan. This is a slide, strategy for safe blood by WHO in 2002. Is this the one or something else?
Yeah, this is the same.
Yes. So can you get me the first slide?
Okay, I'll just do it again, ma'am. Hold on. There seems to be some technical issue because the slides were shit. Can you see the slides now, ma'am? Strategy for safe blood by WHO in 2002. Is it on the screen?
Yeah, it's there on the screen. So this has already been discussed by the speakers that you have to establish a sustainable national coordinated high quality blood transfusion service, collection of blood from regular, voluntary, non-remunerated, low behavioral risk donors, strict screening for transfusion transmitted infections, and the rational clinical use of blood components and reduction in unnecessary blood transfusion. Next, please. So infection during the window period for HIV, HBV, and HCV can be diagnosed, and hence it can prevent TTI. Even saving one life is important. Next. So data from AMU says that 0.25% infections were diagnosed by NAT as against chemiluminescence. That is 284 cases were diagnosed, thereby saving 1,136 people from acquiring TTI. And all these data by Max Super Specialty Hospitals, and Dr. Sangeeta Pathak is also sitting here. So they all have said that we can prevent infections up to a particular stage, especially in the window period. Next, please. So this will be the last. Is NAT the only answer? So all these things like complementary roles, donor questioning, NAT reactive seronegative risk, and ultimately a comprehensive approach. All these were discussed. So taking into view all these factors, we can still implement NAT except for the cost. But finally, hearing Dr. Ashok Rattan, I felt that this preventive PRT, pathogen reduction technology, this can be even a better option if we sensitize the blood by ultraviolet rays and also by giving this riboflavin, then we can kill the bacteria, the viruses, etc., and make it a little more cost effective. Next. So the take home message is, while chemiluminescence is a valuable screening tool, ID-NAT represents the gold standard for blood safety. The evidence overwhelmingly supports its adoption as the primary screening method or as a mandatory confirmatory test for all blood donations. In India, a hub-and-spoke model using both CLIA and NAT may be required, and this can make it cost-effective. Next.
That's the
So that's all. Thank you.
well. On behalf of Kaho and JMitra, I'd like to thank all the speakers and the respective judges for having taken their valuable time and shared equally vociferously their points of view. There is no clear winner in this. But I think at the end of the day, what we need is yes, Dr. Pathak, you wish to say something, ma'am? Please unmute and speak, please.
I wanted to add that my colleagues just represented those articles which had nothing. Sir, very sorry. Dr. Ashok Rattan sir also presented one Egyptian paper, which my paper also was there, but he did not talk about that. And a 15-year-old study which showed how the NAT affected. Sir presented that, and even this Narendra Naidu also just spoke of Dr. Makdu's paper, which was itne hemolyze ho gaya, itna ye ho gaya, itna ye ho gaya. We are doing every day a hub and spoke model. We are working on it. We never get such samples, which are 235 samples hemolyze ho gaye. So this is your inability to transport them properly. And to add two things, I'll just tell you, I had in all these 15 years, 7 HIV positive cases in NAT. I'm talking about NAT, which were negative by CLIA. HBV, 175 cases. 175 cases of HBV, 36 cases of HCV, and a combined case of HCV and HBV was 1. So just multiply these cases into 3. And sir has presented, this pathogen reduction is a very good, of course, a much higher technique, but then it is not yet into us. And secondly, it only treats the red blood cells. It does not treat the other things. So we have to think on that also. And till now, and the cost of pathogen reduction again is too high. Only Western European countries are doing the reductions at the moment. So we have to, while we are, as he had pointed very clearly, we are building some fort on a crumbling. Sir ने बहुत अच्छा बोला था वो, and that's true. So we need to first हमारा base अच्छा करना है, and we all need to come to this conclusion that we have to सबसे पहले हमें serology के test better करने हैं. तभी वो जो हमारे yields आ रहे हैं 1 in 500 नहीं आएंगे, तब हमारे yields 1 in 2500 आएंगे अगर हमारा serology test better होगा. So I agree both the sides, but again last line बोलूंगी कि अगर opponents जो बोल रहे हैं उनके फैमिली से किसी को ब्लड चाहिए होगा तो क्या वो बिना नैट टेस्टेड ब्लड और टेस्टेड ब्लड अवेलेबल है तो नैट अनटेस्टेड देंगे क्या वो? बस दैट्स माय क्वेश्चन.
No, very pertinent question. I think she's hit the nail on the head with that, saving one life, like Dr. Rahman also mentioned, saving one life. What is the cost of saving one life versus all the infrastructure?
Exactly, I agree to her. One life is also important, yes. And then we are not finance ministers sitting here. हम डॉक्टर्स हैं यार, बिहेव लाइक डॉक्टर्स ना. हम फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर थोड़ी हैं इस कंट्री के कि हम फाइनेंस को डिस्कस करेंगे यहाँ पे कि 11,036 करोड़ लग गया हमारा पैसा. और अरे भाई सेफ्टी का मामला है ना, ब्लड सेफ्टी है ये. और आप अपने घर में किसी को दे दोगे क्या ये वाला ब्लड? क्योंकि पैसा नहीं है कंट्री के पास, तो कोई बात नहीं, चलो दे दो, नहीं देंगे हम लोग, है ना. सो वी हैव टू थिंक अबाउट द मासेस. बट देन सारे पॉइंट्स अच्छे थे, सर के पॉइंट्स तो बहुत ही बढ़िया थे. एंड अवे नरेंद्र ऑल्सो वॉज करेक्ट एट हर ओन लेवल. शी वॉज ऑफ कोर्स करेक्ट. So I agree to both the sides, but still we have to go forward in life. We can't go backwards.
After agreeing to everything, you said the word but, which means everything behind the but has gone. And now it's come back to the single point of, do we go ahead? But I think, Professor Rattan, you had a point, so you raised your finger for a minute. I'd love to hear that point because that's where the debate gets exciting.
I agree. Dr. Sangeeta said most of the things that were there. That I think we would be the first ones to concede that NAT is essential. and is the gold standard.
Correct.
So there's
Correct.
no debate on that. But what I'm trying to say is that we need to improve our system
Correct.
and not rely on only one test to detect the pathogens. We need to
Correct.
we need to make sure that only volunteers donate. I am now
Correct.
74, so I cannot donate. But whenever it was possible, I volunteered to donate, whether it was in Nagaland where I was working or whether it was in the Caribbean I was working. Even as a doctor, we said, okay, we will donate. So youngsters must come forward because only
True.
human beings can donate till we get an artificial blood, which persons in Japan are working on. So those who can donate must donate. That is what
Correct.
it should. And it should be voluntary donation, asking nothing in return.
Correct.
Second
Correct.
one is that there should be a good history taking to rule out early exposure. So if there's a risk, you defer the donor. Then you do the testing, and testing whether by NAT, which is the best gold standard, I concede, or CLIA. If it is quality control, what I was trying to say is that Egypt, which had accredited labs which did this test, got nearly same results.
Yeah.
So if you're, I know I saw the same, I saw from CIFI also, I saw a paper which indicated the same as that is happening. And I know
Yeah.
that CIFI is not accredited. So I'm trying to say that please get your labs accredited, improve the basic structure, make sure that we get the maximum mileage out of whatever test we're doing. Then take part in EQUAS and get 100% marks in EQUAS. Hopefully, then we'll be able to do good service. EQUAS is required, and if we have NAT,
Yeah.
then we should offer that services to our peripheral labs that they can benefit.
Yeah.
And I think Dr. Sangeeta hit the nail on the head that if I have to give blood donation to one of my relative, I will take a NAT tested blood.
You have Dr. Sangeeta's number, sir, so I'm sure there's not a problem there.
But it was very nice being here.
Well,
Sir, I would like to, like I started with, that there is no denying on the additional safety net that comes with NAT. But today, where are we? We are talking only about the few couple cities who are well, in good standards. But the whole country is really needs a lot to be done. So the strategies that we mentioned, and Dr. Rattan has rightfully pointed, and with that, I concede that yes, NAT is required, but we need to do other things first. Sir.
Yeah, sure.
And I did make it. I was making an observation, ma'am. I'm visiting a lot of hospitals and blood centers across the country. There are a lot of NAT machines that are installed because the government has taken the prerogative of getting the machines installed. But due to the high cost of the consumables and the reagents, those machines very expensive, installed but not being used. Not being used at all. Zero usage for the last 3 years.
Where?
This is in Andhra
Where?
Pradesh.
Give
Andhra
an
Pradesh.
example.
In Andhra Pradesh, in Vizag, I can't give you right now the exact, I don't recollect the name of the blood center exactly, but these are big blood centers.
Please do give it to me.
I'll share with you, ma'am. I'll share it with you offline through Professor Rattan.
Yeah, sure. Please do that.
Right.
And I think we should have more discussion on pathogen reduction. And I think it will become cheaper and easier. And if we can reach the moon, I'm sure we can make pathogen reduction also very cheap, because what it is requiring is only ribavirin and ultraviolet light.
Actually, all it will take, sir, is a
Yeah.
good manufacturer, with the government's policies. If we can manufacture the reagents and kits in India, we can bring down the cost. And what I've understood from a lot of the speakers here is cost is a prohibitive, it's one of the constraints that is prohibiting the penetration of NAT molecular technology down the line. If an Indian manufacturer, anybody can manufacture in India, that cost can come down. And if that can come down, or obviously detecting RNA or DNA, RNA in case of HIV, HCV, becomes a better testing field. All of you agree it's a gold standard. all it needs is someone to bell the cat and start manufacturing it in India correctly. So,
Okay.
No, but I'll add one more thing. We talk so much of cost. When we fly somewhere and the costs go from 4,000 to 4,000, 45,000, do we say anything? We still take that flight.
ma'am, your
So
logic
why
of the
on
flights is
sector?
correct. But we're talking, like I said, down the line. In the
No,
metro, it will
I
work.
tell you, we have made this sector like this. Cost.
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
should it be? Quality comes with cost.
It does.
Quality comes with cost.
It does.
Okay.
We agree on that. We all agree with that.
True.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you, ladies
Any
and gentlemen.
questions? Any
Yes.
questions from
We'll
the
take a couple of
audience?
questions. Let me see if we can. So there was one question from Mr. Anirudh Rai. Can NAT compensate for gaps in donor selection and hemovigilance systems, or should strengthening these foundations be prioritized before universal NAT implementation?
No, it should be the voluntary blood donation should be, of course, strengthened. And though we have a very stringent questionnaire with us, we do have that. It is a 4-page questionnaire that asks each and everything before you donate. But there was an article which says in India, 2% of the people say, झूठ बोलते हैं वो. They do not correctly fill the paper. है ना? तो उस questionnaire का भी क्या करोगे आप? फिर NAT आता है, फिर CLIA आता है, फिर NAT आता है. So it's very difficult. Nothing can compensate nothing. And the first thing starts with that a voluntary, non-remunerated, repeat blood donor should be there. I insist, repeat blood donor. ओके वॉलंटरी से नहीं काम चलेगा रिपीट वाला होना चाहिए जो बार बार टेस्टिंग होती है आपके यहाँ पर जो आपको पता है ही इज गुड इसके कुछ भी पॉजिटिव नहीं निकलेगा इसका सो दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट
Okay, there was one more question. More
Any others?
Yes, ma'am. One more question. In recurrence cases of HPV, sometimes the HBs AG comes positive, but in HPV DNA, the reports are negative. How would we interpret this type of case? Where you're getting
HBs antigen is
HBs
positive.
antigen is positive, but the HPV DNA reports are negative.
So how we interpret, I'll tell you. HBs antigen is a serological test. And if anything, as per the government, as per the law, anything coming positive on serology has to be thrown out. It has to be. And I tell you, means there are two testing methods for NAT. One is the ID NAT, one is the mini pool NAT. So ID NAT is given by a certain group of people, mini pool is given by certain group of people. So in ID NAT, as I saw in one of the presentations also, that mini pool dilution misses it. So mini pool dilution, if would have missed it, I would have gotten hundreds of litigations on me over the past 15 years. I did not get any. So this is a system variant. A system which is of a doing a TMT might be talking about mini pool missing it in their system. If it is a PCR, which is with me, I have not missed anything and I'm doing mini pool for the past 15 years. So that is, and now again, if it is HBs antigen positive on serology, you have to throw it. You might do the NAT for academic purposes. So in my case, in mini pool cases, we do only run the test which are positive ones we throw out, the negative ones are taken on NAT. But in ID, the other group, they'll do the entire test on NAT. They do not run the serology first. They'll do entire on serology also, on this also, which is, I don't know what practice it is. I do not understand that practice. So for me, if it is HBs antigen positive, you have to throw it. For academic purposes, you can run it on NAT and then interpret it because you have to call the donor. If it is HBV DNA positive आएगा आपको donor को बुलाना पड़ेगा for your अपने purposes के लिए कि भाई वो positive है हमें उसको बताना चाहिए otherwise it is of no importance at that point because हम उसको फेंक दे रहे हैं और हम उसको बुलाएंगे for we are going to call him for counseling and we are going to send him to the gastroenterologist. Okay.
Okay.
I think we've had a long discussion and it's an exciting debate here. But thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Rattan. Thank you, Dr. Rahman. Dr. Maheshwari, any remarks from your end? I saw a raised hand on your icon.
I just wanted to conclude that what Dr. Sangeeta Pathak has said, it is the gold standard, but the cost is there.
Yeah.
And like in Aligarh, I'm in Aligarh, we have this NAT testing.
Ji.
So we
Ji.
जो spoken hub wala hai, that should be taken into consideration.
Correct.
A lot of samples over there, and then mini pool we can do, and then
Correct.
with the ID NAT.
Yes.
So that is my concluding remarks. Thank you very much, Dr. Sangeeta and Dr. Rattan. It was a very good discussion.
Ma'am, it was very nice to meet you. Sir से तो मैं मिल ली हूँ पहले.
Thank you.
पर आपसे मिलके बहुत अच्छा लगा.
नहीं,
And
आपसे
Dr. Suhail, it was very nice meeting you as well. Yeah.
We are in the
Thank
same
you so
center.
much.
We both are in the same center.
मैम मैं वैसे अलीगढ़ की हूँ.
अच्छा.
आपसे मिलूंगी मैं.
And
मिलूंगी
Dr. Ashok Rattan had been my co-supervisor for my MD
Great.
thesis.
Great.